Hello learners, welcome to our next virtual learning for the day. I hope you are all doing well. Anyway, today we have mathematics for basic 6 and our strand is still on percentages, and our substrand is express percentage as decimals, and then let us look at our learning objective for the day. You see, by the end of the day, we should be able to express percentage as decimals. Now we have some few starters here. Now let us look at the starter for the day. We have 1%, 25%, 50%, and 80%. 1%, 25%, 50%, and 80%. Now in our previous lesson, we learned how to express percentage into fraction and also to reduce it to its lowest term. We also learned how to express fractions into what? Percentages, right? Now today we shall look at how to express what you call percentages as decimals. Now first of all, to get this done, what do we do in the first place? Now in the first place, we change this one into fraction. Remember in our previous lesson, I told you that anytime you see 1% is 1 out of 100, right? 1 out of 100. And if you see 25% is equivalent to 25 out of 100. And if you see what 50 is written as 50 out of 100. And the last number is 80%, which is 80 out of 100. This is how we express the percentage or the percentages. Now, what are we doing today? Today we are going to express the following as decimals. Now, remember what we did in the first place is to change this one into fraction, and then we find the decimals. We reduce the fraction into decimals. So, question number 1 is 2%. 2% means the percentage is 100 out of 100 or 100%. This is how we write it. Now, how do I change this one into fraction? Then I come here 2 right over 100. This is how we write it. 2% is the same as 2 out of 100. Now, I am asked to express the fraction as decimals. So, how do I do this? Now, in our previous lesson, we learned that anytime you see the denominators here, which is 100, consider the 2 zeros, right? And leave this one. It is insignificant. It is not necessary here. The only thing to consider here is what? The 2 zeros. So here we find out the number of times 0, okay, what? 2 times. So we come here, we are going to use this one to count the number at the top. So we should 0 occur how many times? Twice. So we come here and we count starting from what? The right to the left. So we start counting 1. This is our first 0, and then 2. So our decimal point ends here, which is 0.2, which is what? 0.2 is 2. So 1 and then 2. So you write the 0 here and the decimal point is here. Now it's the point here is called decimal. Now which is what? 0.02. But in mathematics, we don't leave it like this. What we do is that we write the 0 here The 0 here comes before the decimal. But to make it understandable, we write what? 0.02 here, and then we put the small 0 here. So it means therefore 2 out of 100 in decimal is written as what? 0.02, because we count the 2 zeros. So this is our final answer. Now we're looking at question number 2, which is 10%. Question number 2, which can be written as 10 out of 100. Now we are going to consider the 2 zeros here, and the 1 here is not necessary, as I've said earlier. So the 2 zeros here, we are going to use it to count the what? The numbers here. So starting from here, we count it 1 and 2. Right? So which is written as 0.10. Then remember to bring the small 0. Now if we count it here, we are going to end the decimal point here. So let us count it. So we start from here, 1 and then 2. So our decimal point ends here, it ends here. So which is what? 0.10. Remember, do not start counting from left to right. We start counting from what? Right to the left. So our final answer is 0.10. I hope you understand. Now let's move on to question number 3. Question number 3 is 50%. To put it in fraction, we make it 50 out of 100. Remember, the percentage is 100. So we come here, we consider the 2 zeros, because the 1 is not necessary. 1 here is not necessary. It's the zeros that we are looking for, which we will count. So we have 2 zeros here. So we consider the top numbers, which is what? 50, which is 50. So we start counting from here. We start from what? Right. So 1 and then 2. So I end my decimal point here, which is 0.50. To remember that to make it beautiful, we bring the 0 here. This 0, we put this here. This 0 in mathematics, it is necessary to bring the 0 here. Yes. After this, do not leave it as 0.50. It doesn't look beautiful. So we add a small 0 here. So making it 0.550. That is our what? Final answer. Now let's move on to question number 4. Question number 4, which is 75%, which can be written as 75 out of 100. So we consider the 2 zeros here, and then we start counting from what? From what? Left. Consider the what? The top number, which is what? Starting from the right to the left. So we start counting. Remember, the 2 zeros are here. So we start counting from what? From 1 to 2. If the numbers, the zeros are 3, we start counting from what? 1, 2, 3. But we have only 2 zeros here, so we count only 2. So 1, it doesn't stop there. 2. Then we bring our decimal point here. Then we can claim this one, because we have achieved our aim at the end of the day. So I come here, 0.75, and I bring the 0 here to look beautiful. This is my final answer. Now question number 5, which is 105%, which is written as 105 over 100. And I consider the 2 zeros here, which 1 and 2. 1, 2. So 2 zeros here. I'm going to use it to count the numbers here, round it what in decimals. So I consider this. How many zeros? 1, yes, and then 2. So my decimal, this one ends between what? 1 and 0. It does not exceed 1 because it's 1, and 2. Consider the 2 zeros, 1 and 2. So I come here, therefore 1.05. So 1, 2. So this is my final answer. We consider the last question, which is question number 6. Question number 6 is 116%, which is 116 out of 100. Out of 100. How do we do this? Remember to consider the 2 zeros and leave 1 because it is not necessary in this case. So we start counting from what? Right to the left. So this is 1. Then I have to count the second one, then 2. So I come here, my decimal point ends between 1 and 1. So I have 1, this point here, 0.16. This is my final answer. I hope you understand today's lesson. Take good care of yourself. Till I see you. Bye-bye.